Yeah, welcome everyone to the Marijuana Time Show for November 23rd, 2017. It is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone out there watching in internet land. As I said yesterday, if you want to leave a comment on the YouTube video or the Facebook video or whatever about what you're thankful about, you may find it kind of cheesy. You don't have to do it. It's your choice, obviously. And it doesn't have to be marijuana related. Just anything you're thankful for. Who knows? Maybe someone will be coming along at that point in their day and they'll see a positive comment and they'll remind them of something in their life they're positive about, and maybe it'll help somebody. It won't take you that much time. Tell us what you're thankful about in the comments on YouTube and Facebook. My name is Joe Klare. I write over at marijuanatimes.org along with a bunch of other great writers. All your latest news and opinion about the cannabis industry, the community, legislation, and more. Go check out marijuanatimes.org for all the latest on what's going on in the cannabis community. Coming up today, we have a few stories. A Canadian official who seems to know very little about marijuana and homegrown marijuana, but has apparently a lot of power when it comes to that sort of thing. It says some dumb things. We'll talk about that. Also, stories about marijuana users having more sex, and San Jose, the city of San Jose, cracking down on a marijuana church. Someone who calls themselves a marijuana church. We'll talk about that and more coming up. But first, of course, I want to tell you that the Marijuana Time Show is brought to you by Cannabis.com. Natureside products are, of course, safe for everyday use, organic, all natural pesticides for your cannabis grow. If you're a cannabis cultivator, go check out Cannabis.com. Not only do you want to keep your marijuana chemical-free, you want any harmful chemicals in your product, there's also a lot of regulations you have to follow in places like Colorado and California and Oregon and Washington and other states with legal home growing. A lot of regulations already in place, a lot of regulations coming down the pike as well. And you want to be compliant, and NatureSideCannabis.com can help you be compliant with those regulations. Go check them out, a proud sponsor of the Marijuana Times Show. The very first story we have to talk about is from marijuanatimes.org. Canadian official opposes home-growing marijuana for several ridiculous reasons. Maybe there's two main points on which this woman is a bit, I don't know what you would call it, out of touch. Ignorant seems like an overused word, but I think that's what we're looking at here. Quebec's Minister of Rehabilitation, Youth Protection, and Public Health, a woman named Lucy Cherbois. I'm sure I have butchered that name. I did not mean to, but I'm not going to get it. I can keep trying, but we need to move on. When asked by a talk show host about the possibility of Canadian adults being able to grow their own cannabis at home, she responded, quote, "No, that's not in the bill. Bill 157, which is a bill that would regulate marijuana in Ontario." She continued, "The population has asked us to start more rigorously, frame it more severely. Let me explain why. I do not grow cannabis, obviously, from what's coming next. This makes that quite obvious. But my neighbor grows it. If my grandchildren go to my neighbor's house and inadvertently get into the marijuana plants and eat them, that's not good." Well, whether that's good or not is, I guess, debatable. I don't think anything would really happen to them. We don't eat plants to get high. Don't metabolize it that way. That's why you put it in butter, and you can't just eat a marijuana plant and get high like you just ate a marijuana brownie. Besides that, whose kids go to other people's houses or out in the world and just start eating plants? Now, the case can be made about, a marijuana brownie is very confusing to a kid. They look at a marijuana brownie, maybe they don't recognize the smell, maybe they just think it's nutmeg or whatever. They don't recognize the cannabis smell, and they eat the brownie. That's perfectly reasonable hypothesis of something that could happen in reality. But your kids are just going to go start eating other people's plants, whether they're house plants or marijuana plants or anything else, is a bit bizarre. It's a bit of a bizarre assertion. She went on to say, it is not good that it is near homes where there are children. Moreover, I was told during public consultations that with 4 good cannabis plants for 2 people at home, you can be stoned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And you know what? You would still have some left. Now, as I point out in the article that I wrote about this, there's many questions to go unanswered here. Just a ton. There's what is the THC content of the plants? What's the tolerance of the two people we're talking about? How big are these plants? They grow indoor or outdoors? If people are allowed to have up to 150 grams in their home, which they are under Bill 157, why can't they be stoned 24/7 with that? Then go to the dispensary, the government dispensary or whatever, and they're allowed to have up to 150 grams, which is quite a bit of marijuana. Quite a bit. Why wouldn't that keep them stoned 24/7? And by the way, who cares? Who cares? So what? Who cares if they're stoned 24/7? Why is that the business of the government? That's the point. That's what we get away from when we talk about legalization. The main point for legalization is that the government should not be involved in this in the first place. Now, obviously, the Canadian government has decided, and the provinces are deciding, they're going to be very, very involved. Ontario's looking at government improved stores. They're not going to have a hands-off approach, that's for sure. But this woman, I mean, I don't know. She has, as I said so many times, if you don't know anything about marijuana, that's fine. You have the internet, you can find out, but you don't. It's whatever. You're doing something else. You're doing something else and you find important on your value system and your value scale, that's great. But if you have power over marijuana legalization in Canada, don't you think you should know something about it? I'm not being sarcastic. That's a serious question. Don't you think that you should know more about it? Maybe just read something. Just anything. Anything. Talk to someone. Call Dr. Sanjay Gupta. I bet this woman could get Dr. Sanjay Gupta on the phone to talk to her about cannabis. Apparently that's not her thing. Learning more about what's going on is not her thing. This next story comes from Forbes.com. Marijuana users have more sex. That's an interesting title. A new study used a nationally representative sample of over 50,000 U.S. residents aged 15 to 44 finds that all this marijuana use might not be such a bad thing, at least as far as sex is concerned. Marijuana users seem to be having more sex than non-users. For example, women who reported no marijuana use during the past year had sexual intercourse 6 times on average during the past 4 weeks, compared with 7.1 times for women who reported daily marijuana use. For men, these numbers were 5.6 for non-users and 6.9 times for daily users. Increased sexual frequency was also reported by monthly and weekly marijuana users compared to non-users. They did this over with data collected in 2002, and then in 2006 to 2010, and then more data from 2011 to 2015. And these these links between marijuana use and higher sexual frequency held even after the researchers statistically controlled for any differences between marijuana users and non-users and a host of demographic and health factors, including age, ethnicity, marital status, children, religion, poverty status, education level, body mass index, overall health, and pregnancy status. Now, of course, they caution later in the piece that correlation does not equal causation. We all know that. But that's a pretty strong link. Overall, 25% of men and 15% of women in the study reported ever using marijuana. Maybe you have anecdotal evidence of this, and maybe you can see why it is. But it's pretty strong evidence. Evidence that's not surprising. There are plenty of people who say that marijuana has no effect on their sex life, but there's many more who would admit that it does. It's an aphrodisiac. It releases your inhibitions a little bit. It makes you feel better. I mean, just like if you're a medical patient and you feel bad, but then you use medical marijuana and you feel better, maybe you would want to have more sex with your spouse or your partner who you're dating or whoever. Maybe you only smoke marijuana in like a party, social gathering setting. Maybe that makes you more likely to have sex. Again, correlation is not causation, but it's not a stretch to see why marijuana would cause people to, on average, have more sex than non-users. Last but not least, this is from Kron4, Kron4.com, out of San Jose, California. Among the 12 businesses operating out of Meridian Avenue building is ONAC, Okalavuya Native American Church. I probably butchered that word as well. I'm sorry. I can't. It's just what I do. But the city of San Jose says what goes on behind the doors of Unit 9 is, in fact, an illegal medical marijuana dispensary. On Monday, a judge ordered those who operate this place to shut down the pot selling operation within 10 days. San Jose City Attorney Rick Doyle said, quote, "We're not saying people can't smoke marijuana for religious reasons, but you can't sell it and you can't distribute it like they do." Now, it's an important distinction, distribute it, because later in the story, they talked to a spokesman from Coachella Valley Church who said, quote, "We are not a church. We are a church, not a dispensary. There are no legal cannabis sales going on. There is an exchange. We grow and share. We do not distribute, but we don't sell." I think you see the San Jose DA is positioning, they're putting their position as you can't distribute it, period. And they also have, someone, they didn't get any comment from ONCA, but Nicole Bearden of Gypsy Rose Salon, which inhabits the same area, said the traffic in and out, they come in here speeding, they're back there smoking, it's all day long. Our clients don't have places to park, and then there's the smell. Our clients walk in and are like, woo, it's really bad for business. Now, these buildings, and when we're talking about this church, the first church, not Coachella, but ONCA, they're all in one like strip mall kind of area, so they're all connected. So the possibility of this, the smell, that's a very real possibility. Why they would be speeding, I don't know. Marijuana doesn't make you speed. Maybe they're really excited to get their medical marijuana. I don't know. Maybe they're really excited about the religious experience that's coming. Or maybe it's a bit of hyperbole from someone who just doesn't want that there because they don't like the smell. And there are a lot of parking spots taken up because obviously marijuana is popular. And they want more parking for their salon. That's fine, And as people have found out, religious reasons for smoking marijuana, the courts really don't, they're not down with that. I'm not worried about that. There's not. If that's the path you're going towards asserting your rights to use cannabis, it's not going to help. So that'll do it for Thanksgiving. Thanks, everybody. Again, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Marijuana Times Show. I am Joe Klare. Go check myself out and many others at marijuanatimes.org. These videos are there as well. Go share them. Thanks to NatureSideCannabis.com, Organic All Natural Pesticides, for sponsoring the show, NatureSideCannabis.com. If you want to sponsor the show, info at marijuanatimes.org. Shoot us an email and let us know that you would like to sponsor the show. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time here on the Marijuana Times Show.